I've got a couple of photos. There's just a few of the Illawarra Sail, and then also the Canberra Aviary Tour. We're going to Wollongong and some down to Canberra, so I thought I'll zip through those first, and then we'll get to the main event, the Brisbane stuff. So I'll go fairly quick. If you want to ask questions or if you've got comments to make, just interrupt me. So this was the new Parrot Club down at Wollongong that had its first sale this year, which was pretty successful. I believe they had some 1,500 birds benched, and there was, I forget the number of cells, but it's a huge venue, big double basketball court. So this is actually only half of the venue. This was early on because I was selling, so it was before sort of the people had come in. But I mean, it's a big venue, and they did extremely well actually. There's our second lead footage, not in the Jason. I want to get some photos. We're carrying another. Hang on, I haven't got this one. Is that working? Is that working? Yeah, I'm not sure whether the camera's working. Is it working now? Yeah. Hang on. Alright. That's the reason I include that. That's Gordon from Wangaroo, who's keen to sponsor us as well, and we'll no doubt have an ad in our magazine. I'm not sure whether it'll get organised this month, but he certainly will be in it. His stuff's all sold through Agriculture Access. I don't know, we've got some Wangaroo stuff on the sales tab, I don't know. Nope. The Finch is the casual stuff that is this as well, Finch granules. So a couple more shots of the Wollongong sale. I'll wait to get this some interesting pictures. So there's a pair of picture rattlers, I don't know what price was on there. Bruce's back mannequins, $2.50 a pair. They were geckos. He was selling them, let's put it that way.
Those things have got some holes on their tyres.
Have they? Yeah, right.
They did with home with them, didn't
A pair of crimsons, $2.20. That's a, what's his name? Tony Mallon from Wollongong, and that's his sister, who's a member of the Parrot Club. Couple of right nuts. This is a young member who I believe lives. I'm supposed to give you his. I will do. I've actually spoken to a few junior members to get permission to give their email address and stuff out amongst themselves as well, so they can talk to each other. Because we had a young fellow from New Zealand join at Finches'14. Yes. So this was one of our young members. Go to the rugbies again. And again. I think they like some of Jason's birds. Now we're on to the Canberra Aviary visit. So this was the first aviary we went to. I think his name was Bob Elwood, if I remember, who's actually a member up here as well. It was cold. It wasn't absolutely freezing, but it had been really wet too. It was really boggy around these aviaries, and yet there were young birds. Stuff was breeding. It was fairly insulated, I think, in these shelters. I did take a shot inside the shelter, just saying a bit. So it was basically that bank of aviaries, and then there are a few more aviaries in this shed while with holding cages and things like that, I think. So it wasn't not a massive setup, but still pretty reasonable. That's the back of it, so it's obviously one that evolved. That's not going to work with the camera though. Yeah. I was told I was supposed to do the camera. Yeah. Please, one on or something. California quail up on the perches, looking like they're going to eat the zebras. So that's in the back of each of the shelters, with a window and everything. So it was fairly insulated. There was insulation in the roof itself. More of them again. Through morning tea. Now the next lot, this is young bloke who's actually the vice president or secretary or something down there. He's just bought, he was renting this house, that's why he's only got the podgy aviaries, and he was in the front. He just bought himself a MIG welder and he was welding up some frames. I don't think we've got a shot of him because he just bought the house, so he's going to. But he had a lot of masks actually. He had white-eared masks and he had crimsons, and he had some yellow siskins. So that was a couple of aviaries spread around the backyard. But he had, I'm not sure if there's a shot that shows the blinds, but he had all cafe blinds that come down. He lifted them up for us to see in the aviaries. The whole lot were down and with zippers on them and everything, sealed up really, because it was cold. There's no doubt about it. So this aviary that's sort of down the side, between the side fence and the house, had white marks and trims and stuff. This is the guy who's the president, Alan's aviaries. There were a lot of birds, it was absolutely chocker in those aviaries. Full of, I don't know, hundreds of zebs, parsons, I don't know, you name it, it was in there, but there was heaps of them. So we had lunch there.
You need that many to keep them warm.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. Is that still his place? Or is that, no, this is the next place now. This is Tony's place. He's got, you can see the little hole there, so the birds can go through into the shelter up the back that you'll see in a minute. It was quite a good setup this way. So there's like these flights that have got the polycarbonate on, and then there's a shelter at the back. So the whole lot could be sealed up as well. And then that was his little holding cage that he had a heater in too. So there was a heat lamp in that pot, and there was a whole lot of young birds and stuff in there to try and keep them out of the snow. One of the locals. Move again. Oh, this is in the back, so if you go around the back, you go in, you can sort of see, so these aviaries, and Joe. There's a little bird room, and then the aviaries come off at the shelter part, just a little hole in the wall for the birds to come in, so we can lock them in when it's really cold. It was remarkably warm in there, in that back section. It was pretty warm, because it was biting cold outside. It would have felt like about 10 degrees warmer in the back. And he had no heater on or anything, it was just because it was all insulated and sealed up. Do this stuff. Next one, so this was just, I think he had 2 aviaries, I can't remember what this bloke's name was. But again, the birds came in and out just through that hole there. During summer he takes that strip of plastic out, but during winter he has just that hole, and it's completely sealed up and insulated inside. It looked really nice. When we first got there, I don't think there was any birds in there, we saw a bird. And then a couple of, whatever it was sinners or something, and maybe some longtails came out. I'm not exactly sure how many guys were built into, not exactly sure how many birds he had. And so the flight on this other aviary was completely sealed up. Put it cold against the cold. Oh, this is, I didn't know these were here. This is actually the zoo. The Regent Honeyeaters, the conservation program they've got down there. Do you want to look at them? I'll zip through them quick. These are their breeding aviaries where they're breeding the Regent Honeyeaters. We went there with the Aviary Society and the Software Club. That's the keeper, Michael, just giving us a talk about it. That's sort of a holding aviary. There's 40 or 50 that they've bred up there that they're going to release. This is sort of out the back, it's not in that, they're not on display in the main part of the zoo. And that's the best photo I can get of one through the wire. They're pretty ugly looking things, to be perfectly honest. But they do use Gordon's Wambaroo Honeyeater mix. That's what was in those drip tube things. That was something or other. That was all a thing that they were hand raising. It was some endangered thing.
It was the first yellow-bellied sugar glider ever bred in captivity.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yellow-bellied sugar glider.
Sorry to make you wrong.
It was like that. It looked really cute, you know. It does look like an awesome, doesn't it? This was a few out the back, big aviaries that they've got that had a mix of stuff in them. That's the last Victoria Crown pigeon in Australia, I believe. I didn't know it was still alive until I spotted it there. But there's a mate of mine who lives in London, owns a pub in London, if you ever go to London. He's got aviaries out the back. And he bought a cockbird about 12 months ago, and he's only just in the last few months bought a hen. And he went over to Holland, and he picked it up in his car, and he put it out the back seat, and he drove back to London, and he put it in his aviary. Simple as that. So there you go, things are a bit different over there, aren't they? Yeah. And it's already laid an egg. Unfortunately, it broke because they had to build a nest. So, I had to take a photo of the cats as I went past. This is in their Honeyeater aviary where they've got a whole lot of mixed birds. If that stuff we're talking about with us breeding, this is the sort of aviaries that, you know, with us, the potential for us to breed finches and sell them to, that's the sort of thing they're going to go in. So, yeah, that's Paul Henry and Ivan Sidwick, a couple of members of Bob Cliff. Stephen Hale, and this guy here is Graham Phipps, who was the curator there. He's now the president of the New South Wales Aviary Society.
So you can talk.
He can talk, yeah. A couple of young blokes, I think they're all keepers, actually, that bunch of people from Featherdale. Yeah, that's just a bodgy shot. So they got, I think is that a glossy?
It's a glossy black.
That's a glossy, so if you're a black cockatoo person, that's a pretty fancy sort of red tail black too, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's it doing?
That's what's moving around, that's in the aviary there, at the zoo.
It was picking the moss off the center moss, yeah.
Now the reason I took this photo is because we were looking at the wire on the main aviary, and it's all rusty and crappy. And they were saying that they didn't have enough money to buy, you know, we were saying, why don't they put, it's only just been done in the last 5 years, why don't they put stainless steel wire? And yet, they built this arty-farty contraption here with all this stuff that really does nothing except look good. So they could afford to build the $1 million entrance thing to look fancy for the tourists, but they couldn't put decent wire on the aviary itself. It's sort of insane, isn't it?
That's like it.
Kingfisher, Regent, Pitter, we'll get on all. Right, now we're into Queensland, so this is us waiting for the buses. And they're the buses, so there are two buses, 120, 60 in each bus, I believe. We got on the right bus.
Yeah, the other bus, there's like a bit of flat miss on the tour.
Brisbane or?
We started in Brisbane. We ended up, we went to Byron Bay, which we didn't know that we were going to be literally spending the majority of the day sitting in the bus. But still, it was worth it. We did see some good stuff. So
we couldn't work out why you go to the Queensland Finch Convention, get on a bus and drive
see New South Wales Aviaries
and do an aviary tour.
I think there was only one aviary, it was the last one, Chris Lever's, that was in Queensland. Am I right? I wasn't too sure where we were with that first one. Because the bus sort of, you know, drives off into the bush and pulls up somewhere and you think, where are we? I have no idea.
2.5 hours later,
yeah. So this is, I'm not sure what, do you remember what this person's name is?
Oh, David Hale.
Just making up names.
For a start, it was a woman.
Oh, okay. Okay. Daniela Hale. This is David Hale.
So definitely start. Yeah, pretty good setup. A lot of gourds for nests. Good selection of, but yeah, the usual stuff that most of us would have seen. I don't think there was any $1 million stuff in these areas, but they were nice areas.
Not the first day, the second one was a lot better.
Yeah, golden salisbury, ivox, anus. Oh, this was that was a design in Honeyeater's owned by Nate Tan, I think it is it not? It was just happened to be in the gum tree at the back. There are Eckies, I've got Eckies as well, so hence taking the photo. Some more aviaries out the back. I don't know why they all that Californian quail in their finch aviaries, that's a bit odd. No. Your guinea fowl out the back. And this will tell you roughly where, oh, there's Maggot Man behind Roy.
He's giving you the bird.
Giving me the finger. Craig Smealy, he's the one who worked out how to breed maggots. The bloke who's behind Roy. You're looking particularly happy there, Roy.
The other guy, Pete Logan, he's a big softbill breeder up Kempsey way.
got big soft, breeds a lot of honeyeaters and stuff like that. And he's mad keen on holding jobs. Another picture of the aviary, looking back up at the yard. Scarlet honeyeater was in the trees, and scarlet honeyeater. There's Mr. Russell Finch, in that photo. But this was, I think that's Mount Warning, so that gives you some idea where we were. We're to the north of Mount Warning at this point in time. I believe it's Soteria, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it was a terrific season on it. She was feeding to her finches. Now we're at Jeff Bray's, who's really a soft-billed breeder. But he's got an amazing collection, and I'll just try to show you how we were breeded. So we've arrived there, and that's Jeff with his hand up to his face. But I put this video on YouTube.
Everyone's on Facebook, that's already on the site.
I don't know if you heard it, but so that's a bushstone curly, but poor Jeff was trying to, do the right thing and introduce and explain to us that we needed to. He had a mate there and another girl there to split us into groups of 20 to go this way and that. And this bushstone curly with his hand raised, just sitting there squawking and carrying on. No one's listening to what he's saying. No one had a word of it, They're all watching the bird. So of course then everybody wanders off and just all came a tremendous. So poor old Jeff, he had it all sorted with his spiel there, and the bird took his thunder. So he's, I don't know, somewhere around the wall, I believe. Now, this is his kitchen. Slash, if you can see, and we're all looking out the windows into this aviary. So one group, we went in there, and the aviaries are right out through the windows. And I've wanted to do this for years, but every time I start even discussing it with my wife, and Mick's doing it now, and we're already shaking her head. Yeah, as soon as I start saying, she just shakes her head, it's not happening. She's saying it's not happening. And he's done it. But it was awesome. Because I talked to Jeff quite a bit on the internet, and now I can imagine him sitting in his chair right there, and he's talking about, his Regent bowerbirds that have bred or something or other. Well, he's literally looking at them. He's not coming in the house to tell me. He's literally watching them.
Put the Lego outside the window.
There's a bit of a joke there. I don't think everybody knows. You don't want to tell me.
That looked good because you look through the window, all the starlings, all the kittens, and everything's just outside the window. And I said, have you got a bathroom? And the lady said, yeah, down the hall, second on the right. I went there, the bathroom's the same. It's kind of view.
Well, I've got a story about Jeff and he's having a shower actually one day when the vet Danny Brown, or maybe I shouldn't say, I won't say.
Can you imagine sitting there at night? There'd be 900 pairs of eyes on you.
Yeah, so that metallic starling, he had a whole flock of them, didn't he? There was a lot of young ones. Well, that's a young one in there. They're the Guinea ground doves. And these were some flatwings that had just hatched. It's actually two young ones. The damn thing, of course, they just wouldn't come out into the open where you could see them. They're always behind the bushes, but they've only just hatched. Oh, what are they called? I think they've got the exciting name of white-headed pigeon.
They're pigeons.
Regent bowerbird. So we had a pair of regents in there. There was a pair of satin bowerbirds too, the black ones. I don't think I've got a photo. So there are roughly 20 people that did that part. Kingfisher, that was in that same aviary. Pitters, noisy pitters. Some idiot. I put that on Facebook too, right?
You don't think it's better than that?
I said, I'm not sure, I said on Facebook, I'm not sure what species it's in, but it's definitely displaying and it's in full natural plumage.
Get a life with it.
So I spoke to Simon Deegan out this evening and he'd seen it, yeah.
Oh, really?
He'd made the news. It'll probably be his next magazine.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because he said it's supposed to have gone to the printer, but it hasn't yet, so.
No, we're trying to get something in there.
You might make the cover.
No, I always stick my hand around his wife and say, take a photo, and he goes, you want the front cover, don't you?
I'm not sure exactly. This is a different aviary and these were a different species of kingfisher. I don't know if anybody else knows the difference. But he's not long got these. And apparently he got them from someone in the Northern Territory and he's only had them a couple of weeks. And he's the only, nobody else, virtually no one's got them in captivity. So these sort of, this is his house here and the aviaries that just they go off forever. I don't know if I have got photos of them all, but it's obviously evolved, you know, it's a very tropical area, so you sort of walk around behind some bush, oh hell, there's more aviaries. A little bit like that. This is this stupid 6 mil wide, you can't now, anyone takes photos through it, so I backed up, it's a bit better there. So that's these kingfishers that he's just got. And then there were grenadier weavers in there, there's quite a few grenadier weavers in there. I don't know what they're called, big brown pigeons.
Yeah, pheasant tail pigeon.
Are they?
Yeah.
Pheasant tail pigeons.
Some people call them brown pigeon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
You get them along the Great
got
Divide here too.
See what?
They're all around the Great Divide, along the Great Divide here.
Oh, is that right? I've not seen it.
Through Malaysia, all that places.
Yeah.
You got your wild tobacco in there, yard, which is fine.
Find those pigeons, they got okay.
Wild tobacco plant.
Yeah, they roll their own.
Oh, they're right, smokers, aren't they?
They eat the little blue berries.
More grenadiers. Here's Jeff trying to tell us something interesting and nobody's listening, they're all looking in the aviaries. I don't know what this is, a bit dark.
What's the
Might be a pitter. I think because he had some, because I've seen noisy pitters, quite a few people have them in captivity, but the rainbow pitters, it's quite, I think, can't tell, but I think that's a rainbow pitter. This is quite a big aviary, there's probably another shot later, but he had a whole flock of mandarin ducks in there, quite a lot of them, a few other waterfowl too, I don't really know much about ducks and things, but the mandarin ducks are really nice. That is just another aviary, and this is inside a little holding area. This is supposed to be a holding aviary, but of course he's put birds in there that are breeding now. That was a wild bird's wren's nest, probably, or not. It doesn't look like a wren, I'm not sure what it is. But it was a wild bird's nest anyway that had got into his sheds and nested there.
I took a photo of him on the wall, and when Stacey finished his work, shot me over there. I said, this is you in 10 minutes. And he got the shits.
That's that aviary that's got the ducks in it.
Yeah.
So the mandarin ducks are nesting in these, they're the nest boxes up there up high. I think he did explain why he put them up so high. Maybe to stop rodents or something, get them out, I don't know. There were bee eaters in this aviary. And this here, because he's got 6 mil wire and everything, he's got there's a fan, you know, black light to attract insects. So he's put this plastic, the thought is, the hope is that the mice can't get up to get into the wire of the 1/2 inch wire, but he can still put his fan thing up there and get in, you know, pull insects in with the black light for the insect eaters. Not sure what I'm looking at there. He had compost heaps too. There's a garden. A rail, I think. Puff-banded rails. A few of them. There's the, I don't know if it's not the same curlew, but he had a few of them. Some sort of pheasant. There's that was just as we were leaving. I tried to get the Picture of the young ones again. Now, this is Ken Wagland's. And the next one. So again, I don't know why Craig sits behind you all the time. What's going on there?
Roy's smiling all the time. So
Every time I saw you with the camera,
Oh, there we go. So it was funny because when we walked in sort of down there is where the driveway was. We walked in there and we've had our afternoon tea standing here. And I'm looking at these aviaries, I'm thinking, I've heard of Ken Wagland, and then, yeah, look, that was pretty impressive seeing those aviaries. There's a bank of, what were they, maybe 2 metres by 6 metres deep?
yeah, there's probably about 50.
And they had, I don't know, there's probably a shot of it actually, later on. That's, I don't know what that aviary is. No, we missed it, maybe there isn't. If there is later on, we'll see it. You can sort of see a little bit like this sort of fibro that comes down, so the birds fly under it. So when we first got there, of course, you know, 60 people show up, all the birds just pissed off into the shelter. You couldn't see a bird, it was like there was nothing in there. And then occasionally you'd see, you know, a blue cap or something would come out, and then in another aviary, a yellow-winged patilla would come out or something. But still, he only had, in those 6 metre by 2 metre aviaries, there would have been 3 or 4 pairs of birds in each one.
That's not easy to even see.
There wasn't much in each one.
But I thought that was how aviary set up.
I did too. I thought that was it. And I thought, what the hell is this guy? He's advertising all these really expensive birds. How in the world is he doing it in this? Where are they?
I was just pissed off we spent 2.5 hours on the bus.
Yeah, exactly. To drive all the way down to Byron Bay to see that. But that was just the start. You sort of walk around the corner and go, oh, holy hell. And then you walk around another corner, oh, glory. Down the hill, there's another bank, you know.
He had heaps of orange cheeks, he had heaps of those grenadier things, he had.
Yeah, I've got photos on top.
No, it's fine.
But see, we're at Byron Bay, right? So it's not exactly cold, and these are completely covered in. It was only that front section that was open. And I'm thinking, gee whiz, that's going to be warm, isn't it, during summer? But when we got further down, I don't even remember where that was, to be honest, that photo. Somewhere around here. It sort of becomes a bit of a rabbit warren of aviaries, you know, for a bit, wasn't it? I couldn't quite work out what was going on. So you sort of walk down here. Oh, we're back up the top again. Oh, there you can see the stuff coming down there. Sort of moving. So there was this was sort of aviaries behind aviaries. And there were, I couldn't see exactly what was in it, but there had to be hundreds of red siskins. I could see them all singing. Then you could see some red siskins, but there were heaps in there. This I thought must have been a huge aviary that it was built, but it's not. It's wired it all in to just fruit seeded grasses. That's actually Niagara. Plants just come out there.
He had about 190 plants that he sort of...
Except all the farmers that were there were going, no, anyway. I'll bang it up. They don't say you've done it all wrong. And there's purple grenadier. Purple grenadier with a Senegal behind it. There's a bit of money standing right over there. Yeah. So that's the cockbird. And there were, I don't know how many did he have? 5, 6 pairs? Something like that. So that's the talking. So there's actually a window into that particular aviary, which was good to get some shots. That's it. That's the cockbird again, with a young one. There are a few young ones in there. Because the hen was on the nest, but he actually went in and chased her out, and I got a photo of the 2 of them later on. So this is, like you're walking, so sort of up here is where that purple grenadier aviary is, and then this just goes for miles with all individual flights. So each flight's got either a pair of purple grenadiers or a pair of Senegals or a pair of orange cheeks, all down the left. And it opens out, like it's got wire at the front, but there is another. You can't see it from the outside. So they get some air, but on this other side, the aviaries on this side were completely, like it was hot. It was hot in there, wasn't it? This was not a hot day.
It was completely covered in clear calcinite, not outside that perspex and stuff, clear stuff. And normally you do a light sheet and a dark sheet, a light and a dark. His was just all clear. It was like an oven.
It was. And this was, what was it? I mean, it wasn't a cold day. For Byron Bay, it was 25 or something outside.
How far is it?
How does that work in summer? Not far at all.
But like 20 days from the coast?
Not even that.
Or
10, 15
definitely,
days.
we went through the Bill of Byron.
Yeah, we went, yeah, we got in the bus and we did something and 10 minutes later we were driving through Byron.
But you don't have to, up there near the mountains, you don't have to go far from the coast to cop the frost.
And 100% humidity too, so, I don't know. This is sort of, so these aviaries, right, so that you can just see the little hole in the door. So normally you just see that, do let us sort of open a few and take some photos.
Well,
So this is opening the old door.
Every time someone opened the door, it blocked the whole bus, because you couldn't walk past it.
Yeah.
So every now and then, just down the end of it.
Well, I don't know, someone blocking the door, so.
So you were.
So there's a pet, so that's the hen there, and the cock, purple grenadiers in there, so that's all that's in there, just that. That's probably the same aviary I would have. That's great, I took a picture of no birds in that one.
So,
Yep.
in a large complex like that, how was he feeding the birds?
I don't know, he was still doing it manually, wasn't he? There was no, I don't think he had automatic waterers at all, now that you mention it.
No, most
I
of
think
I think he had one automated water system where it filled the thing and overflowed through into gravel, but they were all turned upside down. He actually had little drinkers in them, so he must have been medicated.
Yeah, that's right, he must have been medicated, yeah. But I don't remember seeing any lines going even. There must have been, sure.
Must have been, I'll go with that.
There must have been, yeah. There we go. Now that's paracribilins, by the look of it. So they're orange-cheeked weaksbills in the same thing, in one of those aviaries.
But they were about 2.5, 3 metres square, one pair of birds.
Yeah.
So does he do that full time?
Yeah, he said he does now. He doesn't, but this is what he does. But I mean, I don't know. He's probably, how old are you? In his late 50s, something like that.
I don't think it's possible.
But he does. This is, he's trying to do it for a living. I don't know how successful he is. I don't know. So the crimson probably really.
Crimson and the other one as well.
Yeah. This is the other side of the walkway. So even though there's wire there, it's all outside, sealed up in the walkway. Down the end there are a couple of larger cages. And I'm not sure, I mean there was some yellow-winged petilia, but when the stars look pretty, I wouldn't think there's anything special about the stars. I'm not sure why he had them, to be honest.
Maybe you like it.
Yeah, I do. That's the guy who, magazine you got sitting there,
Paul D.
Paul D, who does that Just Finches magazine from New Zealand. Orange cheeks, purple grenadiers again. That's too young, purple grenadiers. That's the hen, out of focus. There's the babies again.
Look at baby
A
blood.
few termites. And where we had now this little bird room that he had, which I thought was pretty understated given the number of aviaries and stuff he's got. I would have gone and built a kitchen or something more substantial given the amount of birds he had. That's just looking back up, so his house is up there because the bus parked here and we were all standing at the bus waiting for the stragglers, you know.
Is that
We've been told to leave and then everyone was standing.
Is that where you walked down and pulled out that long seat head and walked up and asked everybody what it was?
Might be, yeah.
Because I just said, if they eat it, it's good.
Yeah, well, I said, if they eat it, it's green seed. If they don't eat it, it's nesting grass. Either way, you win. Getting on the bus. That's Graham Bull. We probably heard of him too. Whatever his website's called. This is the only member from New Zealand. The young bloke. Whatever his name is, I've forgotten now. Harry, maybe Henry.
Craig Steele.
Henry, that's it. Yeah.
He's great.
How old is he?
16, something like that. Yeah. So he was one that they sponsored to come over. So he was actually, Chris Sleeper was looking after him, but I don't know if they paid his airfare, but they certainly gave him free.
They actually got everyone in.
He paid $5 and it cost us $100 to send his stuff over to New Zealand.
They actually got everybody in the Queensland Finch Society to make donations and stuff, and they actually got enough money to get, I think it was 13 or 15 members to be sponsored to come to this convention. And they could only find 6 junior members to get there.
Yeah.
That's pretty sad when you can only find 6 and it was a freebie.
Well, the problem is that they had to be chaperoned. I mean, you can't send a 12-year-old child on their own to it. Yeah, so I said, well, there we go. So that's all the superstars were the last ones out. This is Chris Lieber and Russell Kingston and company and Derek Burton, all those big breezers, Walter Burgess from South Africa. They're the last ones. We're all standing there waiting, you know. Everyone's hassling us. Yeah. Now this is going into Chris Lieber's place, which is just sort of a flat 5-acre block on the southern side of Brisbane, I think. So we're actually in Queensland here. So this is a holding acre where I was talking about a bit where the German Honeyeaters and the roof specs are, and other stuff as well. And she's got that damn 6mm wire that you can't take any photos through. So this is her main aviary block. It's really I think there's some better photos that show it, but it's really a big shed with no, well, it's got the front one still, but the sides are gone and the back's gone, and there's aviaries that just come out. So the shelters are within the shed, and then the aviaries go out maybe 4 or 5 metres out on all 3 sides. So this is sort of just looking down one side as you approach it. And this is inside, you know what I mean? There's the shed there, and there's aviaries that go all the way around. And so she's got traps in every single aviary. She had a hell of a lot of birds, but there wasn't anything super expensive in there, was there? But they're good.
She had a lot of doves and a lot of pigeons and a lot of finches. What it's down to me, every cage had a pair of scarlets in it, but a lot of them had golden shoulders, and I didn't know you could get away with
I
that.
didn't say that.
Yeah, heaps of golden shoulders in those aviaries, and I didn't think you could put the finches with them, because they're one of the most aggressive bird females.
It was actually getting quite late. It was right on us. I would have been a bit annoyed, to be honest, to have 60 people showing up at my place just as the birds are having their last feed and going to sleep. So it was good of it. And the other bus never even got here because they got a flat tyre. So they never even saw that place. So the photos are a little bit ordinary. Because of the time of day too. So that gives you a better idea of the complex. So there's whatever there is there, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, might be 10 acres down there, 10 down there, 10 down there. So quite a big setup. Oh, back to the start. So that's it. Thank you.